Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In previous video, I have shown you how to design for this one, that is add visitors, and how to backend code for this. So if you haven't watched that video, then just go to description. There I put the link from a previous video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to design and backend code for this one, that is update visitors. For now, if I click on this, nothing happens. So let's close this application and let's start the development. So I've closed the application and we move to this one. So here, first thing what we have to do is we have to add a new form. So right click on this, click on add and select a form. I'm going to give it a name. That will be update visitor. And click on enter and this will add a form like this. After this, we need to set some properties for this, and also we want to remove this form border style. First, I'm going to minimize this one. Auto hide. After this, I'm going to open the properties and pin this one. Click on this. First thing, we need to move the form border style. So select on this one, click on this and select none. Then I'm going to set the size for this. Change this one to 1077, 565 and hit enter. After this, I'm going to change the back color for this. Here you can see this one is little bit off white. So I'm going to change this one to custom and select white. And save it. After this, what I'm going to do is we have already designed this add visitor, right? So I'm going to copy this all and move back to update visitor and paste all of the stuff over here. And here I'm going to make some minor changes. So click on this. I'm going to change the text from add visitor to update visitor. Hit enter. After this, this is name, contact number, gender, address and unique ID, and we have to put this visitor ID on the top. So let me just move this on the top like this one, and after this let me just move this one like this and move these all to the bottom like this one. After this, I'm going to just change the property for this one from read only true to false. Now I can type the IDs inside this one. Let me just make this one a little bit short. After that, I'm going to copy one button from here. I'm going to paste it once again and I'm going to put it over here. And I'm going to set the size for this one. So click on this and I'm going to change the size for this one to 116, 32 and hit enter. And just make this one like this. Okay. After this, click on this and we also need to change the text. So that will be search. And I'm going to change the button name to btn search. And this is button update, right? So I'm going to change this one to update. Change the name from btn save to btn update. And this reset is perfectly fine. Next thing, I need to change the icons for these two, right? So click on this icon, click on this one, click on import, and here we need to select the images. So if I search for this one, not this one, this one, update, click on open and click on OK. Here you can see this. Now the icon is changed. We have to do the same for the search button. So click on this and make some space. And here we go to the images. Click on import and search for this search. This one. Click on open, click on OK. And here you can see this. Now the icon is changed. After this, what we have to do is whenever this form open, it needs to be open in the center of the screen. For that, just click on this empty space, move back over here, select this start position and select the center of the screen and save it. And let me implement the close for this form. So this is btn close. So whenever we copy the properties, copy the buttons, text views and other stuff and paste it over here or to any another form, then all the properties which we have set corresponding to that text field, buttons or images, icon like that, we all copy all of that stuff, right? So here you can see this btn exit name is already set, even the icon is already set. So what we have to do is just double click on this to generate a click event for this, and at this click simply I want to close this. So this dot close and just save it. And now what we have to do is we have to connect this update visitor with the dashboard. So we have to click on this, go to the dashboard And here, if I click on this, here we have this update visitor. If I select this, move back over here, update visitor tool strip menu item. So double click on this, this will generate a click event for it. And here, first thing what we will check is if that form is already opened, then we need to bring that open form to the front. So if application.openForms.ofType, and inside this one we have to pass the type, that is update visitor, and we will check the count. If is equal to 1, then in this situation I want to bring it to front. So application.openForms.ofType, inside this one we need to pass the update visitor dot, and we will bring the first one dot bring to front, like this. If this is not the case, it means that form is not opened. In that situation, what we have to do is we have to simply create an object of that form. So update visitor is equal to new update visitor, and simply on this object we have to call this show method. So like this one, and save it. Now start our application and let's test it. So I started my application, and for me the admin username is admin and for the password is pass. So click on login, and if I go over here and if I click on this, here you can see this, now this update visitor is open, and here I can click on these and I can click on this, but nothing is happening for now. Okay, so let's start the coding for this. If I click on this close, so this one is working fine. So move back over here. Now the connectivity with the dashboard is done. Let me just close this, and let me just also close this add visitor part, and we move back over here. So first thing what I want is whenever I click on this button, I want to search for the corresponding visitor ID and need to fetch all the data into these all fields and also show the images over here. For that, what we have to do is just double click on this button, and this will generate a click event for this button. So just double click on this, and this will generate a BDN search click event. And inside this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the code into the try and catch block. So try and catch block. Why we do exception handling? So that anything unexpected happens in our code, then our application doesn't crash. So that's why we use try and catch. So inside this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the exception to console.writeLine, like this one, and simply I'm going to write the exception. Okay, before we do anything, what we have to do is we have to create the objects, right? Some of the objects. So for the database operation, I need to create one object. Database operation is equal to new database operation, and I need one string variable with the name query, in which we are going to write the query, and one data set object to store whatever the data is being returned from our query. Okay, so this database operation is my custom class which I have created in the previous video, so make sure to watch all the previous videos. Okay, so we are going to use the methods from here. So if I move back over here, so first thing what I'm going to check is I'm going to fetch the visitor ID from this text field. So if I click on this and if I move back over here, you can see this, the name for this one is txt visitor. So I'm going to take one variable string visitor ID is equal to txt visitor dot text. So this is how we extracted the text from that text ID, right? After this, I'm going to write the query. So query is equal to, and here I'm going to select the detail corresponding to that visitor. So select star from my table name, that is visitors. In previous videos, I have shown that I have created some of the tables, and from those tables, one table is visitors, where visitor ID is equal to, and it's a string, right? So single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, and single quotes, like this. And inside this one, we have to pass the visitor ID. After this, what we have to do is we have to call the method, right? So ds is equal to database operations dot get data. Inside this one, we have to pass the query. This method actually returns a dataset objects, which we have already created the local variable dataset variable ds, and whatever is being returned from this method, I'm storing this into this dataset. After this, I'm going to check that if ds is not equal to null and ds.table 0 dot rows dot count is not equal to 0. In this situation, it means that we fetch the data from the database. If this is not the case, in that, what we have to do is we have to show the message that no record found. So message box dot show, inside this one we have to set some message for the user. So no record found, and for that message box we need to set some header, right? So I'm going to set the header for this one, and I'm going to set one button for this one. So message box button OK, and I'm going to set one icon for this. So message box icon dot error, like this one. And we need one more variable over here that will check if the user is found or not. So boolean is visitor found. By default it will be false, and if user is found, then here what we are going to do is I'm going to just change the status for that to true, and again here I'm going to change the status for this one to false if user is not found. Now next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually fetch the data from this data set, and I'm going to set that to the text field. So txt name dot text is equal to ds dot tables from the 0th table rows 0th row, and the column is 1 dot convert this one to string. How we are fetching this 0th and how we know that at the first column we will have the name. So let me just move back to the database. I have already opened it. So if I run this one, select the star from visitors, and if I just move this one like this, and here you can see this is the 0th column. We have the IDs. This is the 1 column, row 0 column 1, row 0 column 2. So at 0th we have name, at 1 we have contact, at 2 we have 0 1 2, at 2 we have contact, at 3 we have gender, at 4 we have address, and so on. Okay, so now move back and code accordingly. Make sure to check this in your database. Okay, so txt contact dot text is equal to ds dot tables, and inside this one we will pass 0, and rows it will be 0 and the column will be 2, and convert this one to string. After this we have txt gender dot text is equal to ds dot tables from the 0th table dot rows 0th row, and the column will be 3, and convert this one to string. After gender we need to set the address dot text is equal to ds dot tables. Inside this one we have 0 dot rows 0, and the column will be 4, and convert this one to string. After this we have txt unique id dot text is equal to ds dot tables 0 dot rows 0, and the column is 5th, and convert this one to string. After this we have to set the image, right? So utility dot set. Okay, we haven't written the method for the set. Okay, so I'm going to write a method inside this one to set image into the picture box. So if I open this method, let me just open it. Database operation. We have already created a utility method. Inside this one, I'm going to write one method to set the image. So let's start with that. Okay, make some space over here. So public static void set image in picture box. Why I'm writing this one into the utility method? So that we don't need to write the similar code again and again, right? So we can directly call this method from here, and we can use at n number of places. Okay, Inside this one, I'm expecting one picture box object. So picture box, and I'm going to name this one profile like this, and I'm going to need one visitor ID because that's the image name, right? So visitor ID like this one, and here first what we will do is we will get the path. So string path is equal to get image store path. This method I'm going to call, and inside this one I'm going to pass the visitor ID, and this will return the image path. So if picture box.profile image is not equal to null, in that case what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this picture box profile dot image, and I'm going to dispose it. It means that I'm removing the existing image from the picture box in order to set the new one. So picture box dot image, and I'm going to set this one to null. After this, what we have to do is we have to set the image. So picture box profile dot size mode, and is equal to, I'm going to set this one to picture box mode dot stretch image, so that it fills the complete picture box. After this, finally we need to set the picture box image. So picture box image is equal to, after this, image dot from file, and inside this one we need to pass the file. So that will be the path like this. It's showing an issue, so just click on this and like this one. Now save it. Now move back over here, and here what we have to do is we have to call simply this one, use set image to the picture box, and here we have to pass the picture box. So our picture box name is picture box 1, and inside this one we need to pass the visitor ID. Okay, now let's try this if this one is working fine or not. So I have started my application and admin and pass, just log in and move back over, click on this and click on this one, and here we need to copy the visitor ID from the database. So let me just copy this one, and if I move back over here and if I click on this, and if I try to type something wrong, if I click on this, no record found. Let me just delete this 5, and if I try to search it, and here you can see this, now the name over here, contact, gender, address, and unique ID is also visible over here. Next thing, we have the reset button, and this one is working fine. Code for this reset button. So let me close this, and let me close this one, and move back over here. Okay, after this we have this reset button. So just double click on this to generate a PTN reset click event. So double click on this, and here we can see this. After this, whenever we click on that reset button, I want to clear all the fields. Let me just write one private method. So private void clear all fields like this one. And inside this method, what I'm going to do is txt name dot clear like this one. After this, txt contact dot clear. After this, I need to change the index for this one. Txt is gender dot selected index is equal to -1. And after this, txt address dot text, not text, to clear like this one. Txt unique ID dot clear. After this, we also need to change that is visitor found to this one to false, and we also need to remove the image from the picture box. So we will check that picture box 1 dot image is not equal to null. If this is the case, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dispose the image, and also we are going to set it to null. So picture box 1 dot image dot dispose, and picture box 1 dot image is equal to null, and simply call this method into this reset. Okay, so why I have written this code into a separate method? Because I'm going to use this method in multiple scenarios. So let's try this if this one is working fine or not. So I have started my application, admin, pass, and just log in. And if I move back over, click on this, and let me just go to the database. Let me copy this one, move back over here, over here and just paste it and search it. And if I click on reset, and here you can see this, everything is gone. If I click on this button again, everything is back on place. So if you want to clear this one also, then you can put the code to clear that field over here. Inside this one, just simply txt_visitor.clear if you want to clear that too. But in my scenario, I'm not clearing it because it will have a bad experience. So before we code further, we also need to add the restriction that user can only add number into this one. For that, just click on this, go to event and search for key pressed. Double click on this and this will generate a key pressed event for this one. And here we have to simply call utility dot only numbers, and inside this one we have to pass the object of key pressed event arg. So I am simply going to pass the e over here. We got it from here, so I'm simply passing this one. In previous video I've already written the code for this one. Okay, so it's important to watch every video from the start. Okay, after this what I want is whenever user try to change the visitor ID, then I want to clear all the fields simply to reset all of this stuff, right? So just click on this and search for txt change event and double click on this, and this will generate a text change event. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply call clear all fields. And if I save it and now start my application and let's test it. So admin pass, click on this one, and if I click on this and paste it over here, search it, and if I try to change it like 5 or something like this, then this will clear the fields. And that's the good experience, right? Because suppose if you want to change this one and if you don't clear the fields and try to update it corresponding to this visitor ID, then that doesn't exist in our database, then your program will behave unexpectedly, right? So let me close this and let me close this one over here. Next thing what we have to do is whenever we click on the picture box, I need to change the image into the images folder, right? For that, just move back over here, click on this, click on event, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to just generate a click event for this. So here you can see this, the click event. If you are on properties, then you have to click on this events button and just double click on this. This will generate a picture box one click event. So this is the name which we have given over here. So if I move back to this properties, top, and this is the name. If you have changed this name, so you will find the same name over here. Okay. Inside this one, first thing I'm going to extract the visitor ID, right? So string visitor ID is equal to txt visitor dot text. And after this, we will check that if visitor found is visitor found. If this is the case, then we will code further. It means that we are going to replace the images. If this is not the case, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply show a user message that visitor not found. So message box dot show, and here I'm going to put a message visitor not found. And for this one header, for the caption I'm going to set error, and after that I'm going to set button for this one. So message box button dot OK. After this, I'm going to set an icon for this. So message box icon dot error. Now let's try this if this works or not. So let me just start my application and admin and pass. Click on this one, click on this and click on this. And here you can see this visitor not found. So first what you have to do is you have to search a valid visitor. So if I try to search it, now if I click on this, nothing happens because we are getting into the if block. So inside the if block, it's empty, right? So here, now this one is working fine. Next thing what we have to do is we have to get the absolute path, the image where we have to put the image. So the string is equal to path is equal to utility dot get image stored path. Inside this one, we need to pass the visitor ID. After this, what we have to do is open a dialog, open file dialog, open is equal to new open file dialog. After this, where we want to open dot initial directory, I'm going to put this one to C because in every system at least C is there. After this, I'm going to open a filter because I want to see only those stuff which I can select. So I want only images. So for that, I'm going to add a filter. So open dot filter is equal to, I'm going to add filter for JPEG, JPG, BMP. So just put double quotes and let me just close this. Inside this one, I'm going to put a opening and closing brackets, star dot JPG. Any name starts with anything, it doesn't matter, but at last it needs to be dot JPG. After this, we can fetch the images with the name JPEG, then star, then we can get the images of BMP like this one. After this, or star dot JPG, star dot JPEG, star dot BMP, like this. And now we are ready with this. After this, I want to set one filter index. So open dot filter index, and I'm going to set this one to 1. Okay, let me just scroll it up for a while. And after this, what we have to do is we have to check that if user has clicked on OK or cancel. So if open dot show dialog is equal to system dot windows dot forms dot dialog result is OK, then we want to perform the other operations. So here, if open dot check file exists, so whatever the file which you have selected is exist or not. If this is not if this is the case, then we want to perform the other operation. Okay, so we'll check. This is basically to check that if suppose we have opened the file dialog, whenever we click on that open file dialog, we are checking that if we have selected any images or any files or not. If we have selected the file, then we need to check if this path doesn't exist, then we need to simply copy the images which we have selected to the file, right? For that, not file dot exist, and we need to pass the path into this one, like this one. If this one will this will show an error, then what we have to do is simply file dot exist, like this one. Let me just import this one like this. Now the error is gone. It means that if suppose we have added some record previously for which the images is not uploaded, in that case we are checking that if that file, that path, it means that at the images folder with this visitor ID, if the image doesn't exist, then what we are going to do is I'm going to simply copy that image. The system.io.file.copy and open dot file name, and I'm going to paste this one to that specific path with that specific name. If this is not the situation, if this is not the case, it means that that image is already available in our images folder and we need to change that images. So first thing, I'm going to remove the current image from the picture box, and after that we are going to delete that specific image from that images folder, and then we will copy the image. For that, picture box one dot image dot dispose and picture box dot image is equal to null. System dot io dot file, and I'm going to delete the previous image. So delete, and I'm going to pass the path. After deleting, I'm going to copy the new image. So system dot io dot file dot copy, and I'm going to pass this open dot file name, and I'm going to pass the path. Now we have said we have actually removed the previous image from the picture box, and we have deleted the image corresponding to that visitor ID, and we have copied the new image. Again, we have to set that image to the picture box. For that, picture box one dot size mode, I'm going to set this one size mode is equal to picture box size mode dot stretched image, and again I'm going to set the picture box image is equal to image from image dot from file, and inside this one we need to pass the path. Now let's try if this one is working or not. So let me start my application, and here I'm going to put the admin and pass. And if I move back over here, click on this and click on this one and search for the image, now you can see this image is over here. So if I go over here, go to downloads, and I'm going to select this image for now. Here you can see this is this image. If I click on OK, and here you can see this, now the image is changed. Let me close this, and if I move back over here, try it once again and search for this. Now you can see this, now the image is changed. So this one is working fine. If I click on reset, everything is gone. So this one is working fine, the image change. Next thing, we have to update the details. Suppose if user has modified any of these fields, then he or she can update the stuff. So let me close this and let's code for that. Let me close my application and move back over here, and here, just move back over here, just double click on this, and this will generate a PDN update click event. So here, first thing what I have to do is I have to put every code into the try and catch block. So try and catch block exception EX, and here I'm going to write the exception to console.writeLine EX, and I'm going to show a message to the user. So message box.show something went wrong. And after this, I'm going to show user the exception, what goes wrong. And after this, I'm going to set a caption for this, so error. And after this, I'm going to set one button, so that will be okay, and one icon. So message box icon dot error, like this one. After this, what we have to do is we have to extract all the values from all the fields and put into the local variables. So for that, the string name is equal to txt name dot text. After this, I need to extract the contact is equal to txt contact dot text. After this, I'm going to extract the gender. So string gender is equal to txt gender dot text. After this, we need to extract the address is equal to txt address dot text. After this, I'm going to extract the unique ID. So string unique ID is equal to txt unique ID dot text. And finally, I'm going to extract the visitor ID. So visitor ID is equal to txt visitor dot text, like this one. After this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first check that if visitor is found or not. So if visitor, if is visitor found, if this is not the case, it means that visitor is not found, then what I want to do is I want to show a message. So message box dot show, and here I'm going to show the message. So visitor not found, and for the caption for this one will be error. And after this, I'm going to add one button for this. So message box button dot OK, and one icon dot error. After this, we will check that if these all fields are null or empty. So for that, I'm going to check that if not string dot is null or empty, and we'll pass name over here, and not string dot is null or empty inside this one, I'm going to pass the contact. We just delete this, and not string dot is null or empty inside this one, I'm going to pass the gender. After this, not string dot is null or empty inside this one, I'm going to pass the address, and not string is null or empty inside this one, I'm going to pass the unique ID, and not string is null or empty inside this one, I'm going to pass the visitor ID. Let me just close this and open the bracket, and if any of these fields are empty, in this situation, I'm going to again show the message to the user. Message box dot show, I'm going to show the user, and the text message will be fields empty, and the caption will be warning, and I'm going to put one button for this, so message box button dot OK, and message box icon will be warning. After this, now everything is in place. Next thing, suppose every field satisfy this condition, then first thing what I'm going to do is I want to convert the string contact number to the integer type. So int 64, and it will be number is equal to int 64 dot parse. Inside this one, I'm going to pass the contact. After this, I'm going to write the query to update it. So query update visitor set vname is equal to single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, and single quotes. So this one we have to pass the name. After this, we have to update the contact. So contact is equal to double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, and inside this one we have to pass the number. After this, we have gender is equal to single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, and single quotes. Inside this one we will pass the gender. After this, we have the address, that is visitor address, is equal to single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, and single quotes. Inside this one we will pass the address. And after this, we have the unique ID. So the column name for the unique ID is UNIQUE and capital INDE, and single quotes, double quotes, plus plus, double quotes, and single quotes. And inside this one we will pass unique ID, and we will update this for some specific visitor ID. So where visitor ID is equal to single, double, plus plus, double, single. And inside this one we will pass the visitor ID which we have searched for. Now let me just close this. The query is like this. You can pause the video and write it accordingly. Okay, now change to next line, and finally what we have to do is we have to execute this query. So database operation dot set data, inside this one we will pass the query and the message which we want to show. So visitor updated, like this one. After this, what we have to do is whenever visitor is updated, I want to clear all the fields. So clear all fields, and now just save it, and now start the application and let's test if this one is working fine or not. So admin pass, just log in, move over here, go to update visitor, click on this, search for it, and if I'm going to change the name for VIS12 to VIS111, something like this, and if I click on update, here you can see the visitor is updated, and if I click on OK, everything is reset. Now again, if I try to search for it, and here you can see this, now the number, this name is changed. So let me just revert this one to back, and the contact number to 11111, something like this, the gender to female, and this is this one to MP India, or this one. Let me just remove this part and just update it, and if I click on OK and search it once again, and here you can see this, everything field is updated according to changes, right? So everything is working fine into this one. So that's it for this video, guys. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to design and code for this one, that is view visitor. So make sure you like and subscribe and share with your friends, and follow us on Instagram. Thanks for watching.